Sawyer County Administration Committee meeting to order, please. Madam Clerk, may we have roll call?
Lee Tillman.
Here.
Dale Schrader.
Yep.
Ron Kinsley.
Here.
Tom Duffy.
Here. Wonderful. Let the record indicate we have a quorum. Certification of compliance with open meetings law.
Meeting at the notice for the public and news media as required by section 19.84 of the Wisconsin statutes.
Thank you. Meeting agenda has been presented. Everybody good with that? Moving on, number 5, public comment. Anybody online? Mike? Thank you. Number 6, approval of meeting minutes, March 10, 2022. Any additions, corrections, deletions? Motion by Mr. Kinsley to approve as presented, second by Mr. Duffy. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That's kudos to you, Madam Clerk, for excellent minutes, by the way. Okay, number 7, Veteran Service Department report.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
So last month we had 397 phone calls, 299 letters, emails, and faxes, and 134 office visits. 21 disability pension claims were filed to date, and we received $134,586 for claims decided in the veterans' favor. So my training is up to date, and everything's going all right.
Gary, tell us about your new office at Oasis.
It is.
There yet?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole building's put in 2 offices and a closet. So we got her in there, except for I've got one load left of stuff to take over. Maintenance is working on a storage, another storage area or a storage area, because the closet's a filing room, really. It's a filing room. So when maintenance gets the storage room set up, I can take the last load over. And after that, I'm out. Okay, so it's different. We need some signs. The sign guy showed up 4 days ago, and it looks like they've got decals to put on the front door. But so it'll help our elderly finding the place, because I see them driving around the parking lot, and I'm running around chasing them on the back of the vehicle till they stop. So
Good job.
yeah, thanks. But so yeah, we need signage. We really do. So, and I think it's coming. I haven't, like I said, we got decals for the door. I don't know what we're going to do for the other thing. The mailbox is a little different too. I talked to Tim about that. I'm probably going to get a new mailbox, which is nothing. It's like well, I don't know what it is now. I think it's like $25-30. Our mailbox is in front of the other people's mailbox, so it takes the brunt of the heavy snow. So she's beat up pretty good, and it doesn't want to close. So I've shown up a few times and it's wide open. So it's a little different operating. So I'm working with the van driver right now, trying to figure out what's the best procedures for him to try to cut down running around needlessly, just streamline everything. But so it's just different. Let's put it that way. People are finding it, and they're calling, and it's like I'm over here, and like I said, they're finding it and showing up. It's quiet, I'll tell you that. So it's kind of like an island, but so people will show up eventually. I mean, helping human services, I suppose. But
Do you have more room now than you did over here?
I'm sorry, pardon
Did
me?
you have more room than you had over here?
No.
No.
No, I mean, for the old building?
Yeah.
No. The building's big, but it won't be forever. It'll shut down.
Who's in the other half?
Well, right now, I'm on 2/3 of the building, and then the other third is not Northwest Passage, I think. Northwest Journey and Northwest Passage. I'm not sure which one's which, but they do counseling of youth throughout the day on the 1/3 portion of it. The boys' home where they were staying, those boys are gone, and that's where I'm at. So anyway, so it's different. The walls, I don't think it was very thought out because I could hear them, I mean, very well. So the one office, I might get a noise canceller in there to try to drown out, to take out the voices when people are talking, so you can have a private conversation. But it is.
We share the council.
Yeah, it is, because a couple times I got up and it's like, somebody's in here, and it wasn't, but, so it's, yeah, and there's been some challenges over there too, so it's crazy. But
Any feedback from the people that have been there?
no, nobody's complained about anything or said, well, this is great either, they just want their service, so. But yeah, it's kind of, they kind of look around like, what's going on, they come in and check, I have a few frequent flyers that, they check on maintenance and how things are going as far as the build goes, but. That's
Ron, has the Public Works Committee looked at his signage and things he needs, his mailbox? Is that something you would?
Not the mailbox. I'm glad you said something about the mailbox. We have talked about the signage.
Okay. So we're on top of that. Gary, what have you seen any uprise since this Ukraine-Russian things gone on with your folks? There's been, no? No, that's good.
as far as like,
Yeah.
pushing buttons,
Or,
like.
their morale going down or depression or anything like that.
No, I haven't seen, no, but, I think we watch the news, I think, more than the average US citizen does. I
Being
think,
veterans.
I'm pretty sure because I've had conversations with other people, veteran, and I get the deer in the headlight look, and it's like, what do you mean you don't know what's going on? It's affecting you. It's coming. But anyway, no, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting situation over there, but I haven't had anything as far as VA claims or anything like that.
All right. Anything else for Gary, anyone?
Have you corresponded with, I would guess I'm asking you to correspond with Tim about the walls. So he's abreast of that.
Yeah, I could talk to him. I know I have before. I mentioned it. I don't think there's any insulation or anything in between. I'm serious. I don't know. It's
And there might not be, but if
Probably not.
he can do something for it.
but yeah, I know that they've got a lot to do.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
So they're aware of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you, Gary.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep. All right, then, before we move on, I see a hand up. Do we have someone online? Linda, Ms. Elmer, we kind of went by public comment. You weren't there yet. Do you have a public comment?
Thank you, Mr. Schuman. Yes, I thought I was logging in at 10, but I came in on item number 7 agenda, so I don't know if there's a discrepancy between clocks, but thank you for recognizing me.
You're welcome. Go ahead. Yep, state your name and address, please.
Linda Zilmer, 902 Holly Hill Lane, Birchwood, Wisconsin, Edgewater property owner. And my public comment is a follow-up to the previous Finance Committee discussion on request for ARPA funds. In that meeting, a comment was made about there was a thought that the administrative committee was to be preparing a prioritization list for requests for ARPA funds. I am concerned with the previous request the meeting prior to this, where there wasn't maybe a delay of approving the request until more information was available. I understand if the committee does not want to put financial information on the public website, but from sitting in the audience, I could not tell whether any financial information had been submitted. The amount that was requested and approved was in excess of 1 year's fundraising and budget, it sounded like. So moving forward with these individual requests without a framework and without a prioritization is problematic, and I do hope the committees and the board as a whole coordinate when considering any of these requests. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on then, number 8, information technology report. Mr. Colson?
Good morning. Got a report here
Nothing that really stands out, just the usual, helping folks with different departments, day-to-day operations. We'll be busy this summer. The sheriff department is getting a replacement jail surveillance camera. So that's kind of getting set up right now. Other than that, the third dispatch station we finally got set up and running. That's been a while in coming, as well as the mobile in case they have to leave that area. That's up and running. Other than that, I'll take any questions.
Okay, anyone? Mike, I have a question regarding your second to last bullet there, working with LCOPD for privileged access to Spillman. Is that between the sheriff and like conservation and some of those officers?
Well, conservation is a different topic.
Okay.
The conservation officer had requested access to the Spillman system, and the sheriff declined, and I won't say any more about that. I'll leave that to the sheriff. But we do provide access to the LCOPD. We have for a long time. It's just that right now they have too much access to the rest of our network, and we need to tighten that down. So basically, it won't affect them negatively at all. It's just going to give them what they need and nothing more.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else for Mike and IT? Thank you, Mike. All right, moving on then. Number 9, Human Resources Report. She provided us with a written report.
Yeah, Rose is unable to attend.
Okay.
But this is her normal report, and you can see all the positions that they're trying to recruit. It's just
We you know, it came up last night, Mr. Kinsley, at Public Works, was retention of our employees. So how do we do that? So I think we have to discuss that.
Rose had talked to me a little bit about information of the wages and the Detman study. And I don't know if she shared anything with Mike, or I don't recall, but I think it was just her and I talking, but maybe Mike's abreast of this, maybe he's not. We have to do something with the wages for these employees. You know, everybody has their own opinion about the Detman study, good, bad, or ugly, whatever. We went through it, and hindsight's easy to see. We have to do something for these employees, and I think we need to go back to comparing to the other counties where their wages are for these certain positions. And I told Rose, that's what you have to do. You got to compare to these other counties. We have to up the wages. How we're going to up the wages is a whole nother matter, but it's got to be done so we can maintain, or keep the good employees we got. And we have a lot of people retiring out. We got to replace them. No one wants to pay more than what the person's going out at, but sometimes you have to. I'm really concerned about the highway department. We have 2 people that are retiring out real soon, and the upper echelon of the highway department is going to be retiring out shortly. And there's about 11 more people that are going to be going within about a 5-year period. That's a big turnover. We have to fill them shoes, because if we don't have the roads plowed this wintertime, we're going to hear about it. But that's their main job, is to plow snow. And when they work in the summertime, that's just keeping that people full-time employed for snow plowing in the winter. How are we going to handle that? Something to think about for the future.
Thank you. Mr. Schluter.
I agree. We have to do. I think it's a 2-step process, though. I think the first thing we do, we promised the people the Detman wage scale was going to be used, but we're way behind. First thing we do is just get everybody up to what that scale said, and then we can start picking out. We're having problems getting jailers. We need to up the ante here to get jailers to stick around. We're having problems getting snowplow drivers. We need to up the ante over here. But first, I think the best thing for morale and retention, you just get everybody up to where they're supposed to be on the Detman study scale.
Yeah.
Just my thoughts.
Do we have a policy of interviewing these people as they leave? What do we
You
hear?
do, correct, Mike?
I
There's
think
exit interviews
I
that are
think
done.
she does, yeah. I've never talked to her about the exit interviews, so I don't know.
Should we have that policy that we?
We
talk to
do.
witnesses or talk to
Yes.
people as they leave?
We do if they are willing to talk to us.
And what do we hear?
I think Rose has been doing that, correct?
Yeah, Rose has
Yeah,
been
I
doing
Yeah.
that.
can ask her to address that next month.
What'd you ask me?
And Megan,
Oh, yeah, that's a good question.
DET,
DETTMN, I think.
TTMA.
We can, Mr. Duffy, we'll put a future agenda item, okay?
Yeah, sure.
And write a bullet under Rose's. Are we doing exit interviews and everyone that leaves that'll talk to us?
Yeah.
And then what are we doing about them?
Did
Sharing that information.
you do an exit interview on the last administrator or not? You gotta learn a lot. I didn't do an exit interview, but I honed it for information.
I did too. You're right, Ron. All right. Anything else on human resources report?
I can't wait for the next one.
All right, moving on then, number 10, county administrator report.
yes,
Mr. Keith.
just a few updates that I've got. The union code, we're hoping to have that in place in April. We're not going to get it back now until the end of April, so I'm guessing it's going to come from the board in May. And the question has been with zoning ordinances, are they going to be included or not? And the answer is yes, they're going to be in the muni code book, but it's for information only. So the public can see them. But as I understand it, zoning has their own numbering system, and it's quite complex, and they want to maintain that. And it's a different numbering system than what muni code has. So muni code in the ordinance book is for information, but it doesn't map to the actual numbering system they use.
Yeah, kind of like an addendum.
Just asking, would it be better just to have a link to go there and look at it? Maybe. I'm just asking. From the Unicode, you could go to a link to zoning.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It'll be that easy to do.
Would that be better than trying to stick it in the Unicode? I don't know.
I wouldn't put them anywhere near each other.
Well, I can certainly ask them, see what's,
Because that way you don't have to worry about the numbering system.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. What else, Mike?
opioid settlement. There's the people that are administrating the funding of that are providing a webinar at the end of April to discuss the timing of the payments, I believe the amounts of the payments. So it's moving forward. They are a couple months behind of what they hoped to be in this whole process, but it's new. Andy Alvarado will be starting a week from this Monday. Finance director, we have an individual who's accepted the position. The recruiting is not final with that person yet. We're working on a transition and start time. We don't know that yet. Groundbreaking, the Myron Construction is asking if the county wants to do some kind of groundbreaking ceremony. We'll go yes, so back with, what day, how many people need to stay, where is it going to be.
Can I add something there, please?
Yeah.
Last night we talked about that at Public Works because David Keating will be the gentleman that'll be here. He said they would let us know when they're gonna do the groundbreaking. And we talked about it at Public Works, and they thought, well, maybe we could do it on the night of the county board meeting on Wednesday if we started early, like something like 5:30 or something. And then have all
Our
county board
meeting,
members there.
do you think in May? Is that what you're thinking of?
I'm just kicking the idea around.
Yeah, I'll ask Dave if that date would work for them. I don't know if that delays the project for them or not.
The reason I say that is that way the whole board could be there for it and make it look good.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
Just an idea. I'm sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead.
no, that's all I have, really, unless you have questions or.
Do you want to share the date when you want to be done, maybe?
Well, I can do that. I've given Rose the date of May 19th, which is the date of the May County Board. And he asked if I would stay for that May County Board.
No, Andy's starting that day, the 24th.
Monday, yeah.
Who's he gonna meet with? I guess he'll meet with you and Rose.
Yeah, initially.
And he's kind of, he's feeling it out a little bit now.
I'm sure he'll probably have a department head meeting, I would think, within the first few days to introduce himself to everybody. We'll sit down and go through everything. We'll talk about all the different departments and the funding, and then I'm sure he'll go around and meet all the departments individually. I'm gonna talk to Mike about getting the computer set up for him at a time so that he shows up for that. It's ready to go.
Should be already. And obviously he'll go in Tom's office then, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see what doesn't want to.
Mike, do we have a start date for the finance person that accepted?
We're working through that right now.
And we're gonna really work on some overlap, right? Or get him in here for some.
Yeah, we're
Training with
trying
you?
to get some, yes. I think he's agreed to come in a few days before I leave.
Okay, then I also had, what about, were we gonna hire a group then to help us with our ARPA reporting? Is that still moving forward or what? are you
No, Tom and I participated in the presentation. Clifton Larson Allen has a software package to help facilitate reporting. Because after we went through knowing that we've already spent half of our money and the other half could go quickly, and because we fall under the lost revenue exception, the reporting requirements are not as complicated as they were previously. So we both agree it's probably not something we need to get into.
And what are some of the allowable expenses with the opioid settlement? Is that a long list or is that?
Well, I know the guidelines are out. I personally have not reviewed those guidelines. It's all related to opioid, whether it's prevention. I don't think it's capital, but we make that decision.
Okay. And then for Mr. Schluter, in finance today, it was reported that 21 actually finished much better than what we had budgeted. Is
Yes,
that true?
that is.
Could you share that?
Yeah, so the general fund for 2021 had an excess of $3 million. The year prior, it was about $1.5 million, and we thought that was really good. 2021 was just a budget perspective, was a really good year. Sales tax came in much higher than anticipated, probably because of online sales tax. Stumpage came in higher. Got some COVID money. Zoning and registered deeds, they had big years last year with real estate. So we brought in a lot of revenue last year. So that is good. So it was an unusual year. I've never seen a year like that. And we were really, you know, with the COVID, we were really nervous about not making budget, having deficits, with everything shut down. I mean, exactly opposite. It was
Right.
pretty surprising.
And you said in Health and Human Services, we did, because Dale is the chair of Health and Human Services. We didn't have near the deficit we thought we had the year before, or
Right.
what we were expecting.
That is correct. So in 2020, Health and Human Services had about a $700,000 overall deficit, mostly because of the out-of-county placements.
Yeah,
In 2021, their deficit is about 180, 190,000. Still a deficit, but we were expecting it to be in that 700 to $1 million range. And it wasn't. So that is good. We still incurred the out-of-county placement costs. It's just in other areas, they saved some funds largely because with COVID, they weren't doing all of the programs to the extent they would have otherwise been doing them. And then when there's staff turnovers, it's always, you know, several months
long
in
time.
between before you, so you're saving money that way too. So that is good. So we don't need to make a transfer from the general fund to Health and Human Services to cover the deficit for 20.
Because you had a pot of money over there, 300,000, right, to cover
They had 300,000 in fund balance,
fund balance.
and that will absorb their deficit.
They're 170.
Yeah.
Leaving about 130,000 now. in fund
Yeah.
balance.
Their fund balance was up around a little over $1 million. And then in 2020, we had that large deficit that brought it down to 300. And we, like I said, we were anticipating another large deficit. So we were anticipating having to transfer the general fund to cover it.
I just swore there was going to be another large deficit.
And, you know, the projections right now are to have that for 2022, to have that large deficit.
So the 3 million surplus from 2021, that's in the general fund now?
It's in the general fund now. Yes. Some of it I'll have to transfer to capital. Once I get capital for 2021, the capital accounts final and set, I'm gonna have to transfer some of that to capital. This- For instance, the project over here that we're doing, the county has had to advance some funds. We had to pay for the California Avenue. So the county has advanced almost $1 million already that I need to cover. So I need to transfer from the general fund to cover that
Sure.
until we get the money from the borrowing
Mhm.
and reimburse ourselves. And then reimburse the general fund.
So that eventually becomes a wash.
Yeah.
How much money is in our, what you call it now? It's the money that we're supposed to have.
Research development.
No, it's the money we're supposed to have to satisfy the requirements of the state for funds on hand to get through catastrophic situations. or whatever.
Oh, so.
Is that just
I
called the
think you're
fund balance?
referencing undesignated fund balance.
Yeah,
The county has a policy that they like to keep that within a certain range, 20 to 30% of expenditures.
Yeah.
I haven't actually looked at that calculation yet because it depends how much I transfer out to capital. But, you're going to be at the top end of that range.
Yeah.
At the end of 2021, which is good. You need it to be because again, anticipating deficits over there in future years, you're going to be pulling from that.
we're going to be at the top end of that range. Huh?
I think so.
Good.
What is the overall surplus in the general fund then? If 21, there's a 3 million plus, was there money that we carried over from other years in as well?
Well,
Or
there's-
had we had to use it?
I don't, off the top of my head, I don't know what the overall fund balance is in the general fund. I'm guessing, yes. But it's more than, there's 6-7 million.
Okay.
All right, anything else for the county administrator's report?
No.
No. Yep. Think of anything, Mr. Duffy, that you?
No, I'm happy we've got the whole funding side of that project behind us. Second resolution passed. That was a big piece.
Agree.
Speaking of that second piece, if I may,
Absolutely, Mr. I've been waiting for you.
well, I was kind of waiting for number 12,
Oh,
but we had finance just before this, and in finance, there was a request for ARPA funds for the Civil Air Patrol. And there was a motion and a second to approve it. We voted on it. The vote was kind of 2-1. Me being the chair, I didn't vote. And I thought, let's just move this on to the full board so the full board can talk about it. That was after that someone made a motion, that's the way it went. When it gets to the full board, there's gonna be people who wanna do different things with ARPA funds. Everybody's entitled to speak their piece about that. But I think that we shouldn't be spending any more ARPA funds, and we should benefit the whole county by using this extra money that we need for the courthouse. Because then it benefits everybody. That's what I have to
I
add.
agree.
Thank you.
I'm glad you bring that up, Mr. Kinsley, just a second, Mr. Schlegel, because on future agenda items, we probably should put ARPA priorities, because I remember it coming from the full board that isn't admin gonna do that? Why do we need an ad hoc committee? Right? Remember that, Mr. Duffy? So really, we should have that on our future agenda, Madam Clerk. No, go ahead, Dale, I'm sorry.
I remember back when the county was funding Civil Air Patrol, and they split in two, and neither side was willing to talk to the other side and say, forget it, we're done. But that led to discussions about if we're funding helping to fund the Civil Air Patrol, why not the soccer field, why not the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, why not blah, 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 blah. And we just left it off. Okay. And I think that still pretty much applies. As far as how to spend the ARPA funds, I happen to agree with you, Ron. Sitting on them for a while now and see how the courthouse shakes out, I think is a wonderful idea. But even the article in the Sawyer County Record, critical about, well, we don't have a committee that's going to set priorities. And I've said several times, we do have a committee. It's called the county board. It's a committee of the whole body. And that's our job, is to set priorities, policies, and make decisions. If we had had a strict policy in force a year ago, 6 months ago, we probably couldn't have bought the bus for the senior resource center, because who would have dreamed that that desperate need would have popped up? So when we make a budget for the whole county for any given year, we are projecting what we think we're going to need to be spending in every area. But we know darn good and well that things change, and then we have things in process to adjust the budget, to amend the budget, pass a resolution, whatever needs to be done to keep the county going. I don't see why that's any different than what we do with ARPA funds. We decide to do what to do with them on a case-by-case basis. I just, this idea of an ad hoc committee to to put in priorities is a waste of time. And we're going to forget something. Something's going to pop up, but damn, why didn't we put that in? So I'm just,
Anything else for future agenda items? Mr. Duffy?
No, unless, again, we're going to talk about the carbon tax issue and whether, what,
Well, we're gonna have it on the finance committee.
yeah.
And there's no reason you can't have it on the admin too, I guess. I'm not trying to say no.
Yeah, I think so.
That's
a great
a lot of
idea.
money.
Yeah,
And,
can I ask a
and
question?
it's gonna be correct, and it's gonna come to the May County Board is what we think.
Has anybody been getting any pushback on that?
Yes,
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
I have too.
a lot. But related to that pushback, I don't have enough information to make a decision yet. The example I shared earlier, that Dale Olson, I felt connected with some of that some way, and he was on the Public Works last night. So at the end of the meeting, I asked him to share his thoughts, and he did. And he thinks it's a good thing. He doesn't like the idea that there's only one contract. He'd like to see a few, the way I understood, he'd like to see a few people, but right now there's only one, and our county forests are in good shape, and he thinks that's a good thing. That was his opinion that I asked for last evening.
Who would pursue other companies?
Well, I'm thinking through forestry is coming land and water. I don't know that there is any other companies to pursue.
I think there's some smaller ones. There's a few out there. I think the one they're using is one of the larger ones.
It'd be nice to be able to compare, and maybe that's what we're asking the forestry committee to do. I'm not sure, but I would like to know more about it at the county board level before I'd have to vote.
Agree. And they are coming to the full board with that presentation, correct?
We're gonna ask them to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're trying to do it in May. I'm not.
Okay.
It's hopeful, but I don't say absolutely.
And then there was public comment on land, water, forestry in favor of taking those carbon credits. But right, I'm hearing some pushback.
So there's, on that issue, the pushback, it's either yes, we do it, or no, we don't do it, or there's no compromise in the middle where we take
No.
half of it.
No, there really
Yeah,
isn't.
but
One of the pushbacks was said to me, that's a 40-year contract. How can you sign a 40-year contract? And to compare that, last night at Public Works, we have a contract for towers for 50 years.
Yeah, we can do it.
So, I mean, but it's lack of knowledge, people not knowing enough. I'm not knowing enough. And we have to educate the board so they can vote with what they feel is right. And we should also educate the public because that's our job when they ask questions.
The pushback I'm getting is we are allowing major polluters, wherever they may be, to continue to pollute.
that's what I heard too.
Okay, then, make sure we add exit interviews under HR's report next month, please. Anything else? How about anything? Anything else for discussion only?
Yeah. When are we gonna have the next board meeting? We have one on the 19th.
Madam Clerk? Yes. we
Tell
have
us why we gotta have
organizational meeting Tuesday, the 19th at 6:30. And then we have our regular
Business meeting.
business meeting on Thursday, the 21st at 6:30. With a
Okay.
large agenda, some contentious zoning. Anything else? Oh, committee. Yep, committee appointments. Approval of committee appointments. So I think, has everyone gotten our committee selections or priorities in? Jolynn?
I haven't gotten Dale's back.
That'd be important.
Leave me where I am.
Hold
Put
on,
me,
hold.
or put me wherever I'm
Then
needed.
got it. Okay, can't think of anything else. Other than, Mike, are we getting enough for easements from some of these utility companies, do you think? Or how do we gauge that, or, because I know right when I was in Public Works, they wanted another easement, XL did for something,
For the guide wires. on the
guide
poles.
wires.
Well, we're only giving them so many feet, and they have to have guide wires, they have to have easement, or they can't put them in.
Sure.
They have some formula they use, and then if you don't even meet the formula base, they give you $500. So that particular easement, we got $500
Annually?
I think it's one time.
All the time.
One time. Doesn't hurt to ask, yes.
I'd ask, right?
Are those perpetual? Just as a year by year? 5 year, or what is it?
How long do you want the guide wire there?
I don't know. But it shouldn't be perpetual.
How's the poles there? And then the next question is, do you want power or do you not want power?
I believe.
Okay, anything else? If not, we're adjourned. Thank you all.
I'd like to thank Mike, you'll be here yet.
I'll be here. Thank you.
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, and then does everyone know about Mr. Howard? Funeral is Tuesday at 11 in Lutheran Church in Stone Lake. What a great man. How many years on?
I think it- for 24 years, right?